All right, I'm running a little late here. Sorry about that. Get the stupid mouse out of the way. You've got a few options for sketch covers. You've got the tick. You got spawn. I haven't drawn a spawn since I was 15. I was just thinking about that. About giving that a try, maybe. I don't know. I'm so different from those 90s styles that were so popular. I don't know how it would look. Spider Woman's always nice to draw. Super lady. I did read this one. It was pretty good. I liked the artwork in it. The story was interesting. Don't know why the camera is being weird. There we go. I got Aquaman, which I think I've drawn an Aquaman on here lately. Hey, Kyla. Brian. Could do Justice League Godzilla. Hey, Dennis. We can do the take. Do you have any votes out there? Lead and Spawn, just because I don't think I've drawn him since I was 15 years old. This was such a big deal when I was a little kid. I have met Todd McFarlane a few times over the years. Pretty neat. Decided to take the evening off from withdraw Spawn. I can't imagine. I actually have a second sketch cover, but I think this is like a first appearance of somebody, so that's why I haven't drawn on it. That's what he looks like now. She Spawn. Silly. All right, well, let's give it a try. Try not to overdo it. Hey, Dennis. They're okay, Just hoping to enjoy the holidays, and I hope everybody has a nice holiday season, whichever holidays you celebrate. Everybody has their challenges, and it's always busy. We did have the commissioning of a new vessel. I did a very large watercolor painting for the Steamship Authority. I've got it over here. I'll show you. I don't think you can see the whole thing on it. Let me grab these. Try not to ruin anything. Yeah, this was a big watercolor that I did of the new boat. It's not a superhero, but it requires a certain set of skills. So and then I did this for their Christmas invitation. So thank you. They did little prints and reproductions that they gave away at the ceremony, so that was pretty cool. Proud of the work. It's not superhero stuff, so I don't post all that stuff. I don't know, I'll put it on my website or something so people can see the whole thing. I gotta be honest, it's been a long time since I've like looked at Spawn. I think it was placement. Brian asked if using new software. I got a new computer on Black Friday because my old computer is like 8 years old, and it's a new computer, and the interface is a little different, and it's a smaller screen, so it's easier for me to broadcast and see the comments if I put it this way. Otherwise, I'm looking at like a postcard size version of the same screen. I opted for a smaller screen because I could get a lot more speed and memory and stuff. Hey, Michael, good to see you. I've not done a ton of sketching as of late, so I'm a little rusty. You'll have to bear with me a little bit. Hello, Art Chemist. How are you this evening? I don't want to draw a bunch of characters because I want to, whatever we're drawing, try to get this done tonight because I have no time. Work's just been on overdrive, and like any minute I have to draw, I spend working on Undersea Hero, and I've got a big 2-page spread that I've been working on. That's the sequel to that Krill Force page, and it doesn't have as many shrimp on it, but it definitely has a lot more implications to the story. So. Try to have fun with this because I swear, like it was so weird. I was actually thinking about this the other day, thinking about the comics that were popular when I was a kid, and like I don't know if anybody remembers the Fatal Attraction storyline that was in Marvel Comics. That was when Wolverine had his adamantium ripped out, and Colossus left the X-Men for the Acolytes. There was just so much going on, trying to get his face bits to match up with where the skull portions would be. I've been drawing more skeletal structure lately, and it's been very helpful in getting the pieces right. I was actually telling a story the other day. I have met a number of the folks that worked on the Spawn TV show, the cartoon one for HBO over the years. Mike Vosberg's one of them, and he won an Emmy for his work on that show. And I also met Keith David, the guy that voiced Al Simmons in Spawn. Met him briefly at a convention. And back when I worked for conventions, he was one of those people that was always nice to people working for the show. Such was not the case with all of the guests. Spawn was one of those characters that just captured the timing that he existed. I never really dug the comics all that much. When they were coming out, they were just like popular for the time they existed. And I know they've continued on, to this day, and they had another big resurgence with like King Spawn and what was, supposedly the record-breaking issue and all of those things. Let's see if we can see where the cheekbone would be. It'd be like that. Should we draw him with the mask or without the mask? I think most people like it with the mask, right? And I know you're not going to see his mouth or anything, but it just helps me with the spacing. I honestly believe the last time I drew this character, I was 14 years old. And like all of this structural stuff, a lot of it will disappear into the black ink that will apply to this thing. What am I bumping into? I'm bumping into a thing full of brushes on the floor because I was not being mindful. Was there anything, was it just the two skulls? I think there were two skulls here that were kind of like holding his cloak on. I think that's what it was. Thank you. Pretty simple pose, nothing too crazy. Gotta have the spikes, right? We'll go in with our regular pencil. This is just my blue pencil. because I don't even remember all the stuff that he looks like. I think he's got like a skull here too, like on his belt. He's got like a belt skull. Here, I'll grab this for reference. There we go. Yeah, he's got a belt skull. He's got the little skulls there, and then he's got like a big arm plate that I forget about. And it comes up like this. Over like this. And then we just have to have lots and lots of dramatic lighting. Like that's really the seminal part for the character, I believe. It's just the shadow, the way he exists in the shadows. Brian asks, what do I think of George's retirement and if it will affect the Tick comics? Of course it will. It will affect the Tick comics. Ben is aware of what's going on, and it's his to do with what he pleases. I don't have any official statement, nor am I in a position to make one, but I can say that Ben is in charge of what's going to happen next, and he's always been that way. But he's aware, and I think that's the most I can publicly put out there. And as with every Tick comic, and I even said this at Baltimore to people that every single one at this point is if any more happen with me involved, I don't know if that'll happen. It's one of the reasons I've decided to take my comics to be my own destiny and make my own characters more and focus on that stuff because I just don't know. So he doesn't have a belt. He literally just has a skull mounted on his junk. I'm guessing we should have some more framing like that. For me, if I were drawing Spawn, I would want to know exactly where my light source is. So I will put it here. I don't have any information as to what NEC's plans are at all. They will have to work with Ben on that. So I am working on a blog post that is about the Baltimore Comic-Con special. I just want to put it out there before I forget stuff. And it's a crazy story. It lasted years. And I have to get my collaborators to sign off on anything. Michael, I always love your sign in. I hope everyone, I'm going to give you the hello, everyone. I hope everyone is doing well. And if not, I hope things get better for you. I adore that. So keep on keeping on, man. As my mom would say, you're a good egg. To connect the shoulder and the pec muscle. Like there's very little that will be shown because of how dark it's going to be, but I want to get the stuff that's showing right. Jay says I have to make it more 90s. Put a pair of sunglasses and nunchucks in his back pocket. I know. Oh, gotta remember the back of his knuckle spikes, I guess. This side has the thing. This is where the light's all coming from, is right here. So we have to get our structure right over here where our highest amount of light, our lumens will be. And then I think we'll just do some ink wash and stuff when we get to that point. Pouches, more pouches. I actually wrote a comic concept story because we grew up in the 90s, just of my interpretation of that flavor of comic that I have some nostalgia for. And it's weird because, like, I don't necessarily think that they were all good or anything, but I don't know. There's something about the absurdity and the silliness, and also, to be perfectly blunt, the optimism. There was an innocence to like some of that stupidity that like had not been dulled by like life, or it was exuberant boy made comics, you know. It's a great sentiment, Michael. I adore it. So anytime you want to sign in with it, it is great. Now I think they changed the skulls over time. Like these are like a little bit more edgier skulls. And when you look back here at these skulls, like it was more like a button, like he was wearing a button with a skull on it. So, yeah, there's a childlike quality to them, and they're not overly serious, and they're made by people who just like say what you want about people like Liefeld. Dude loves comics. Like he just loves them. Loves superhero comics. Like whether you like his work or not, like there's just a genuine love of comics from that person. And I never bought that many. Like when they were new, I bought them mostly in like dollar bins because they were back then they were 50-cent bins and quarter bins. And when the books would like the image books, when some of them would show up late, you know, people wouldn't buy them when they were new. So stores would, if they weren't like a hot book, just try to liquidate them so that they wouldn't eat the cost. So you'd get them for, you know, cheap because they'd order a ton of copies. Brian says, I know you have years of practice, but you make drawing look effortless. That's very kind of you to say, because I feel like I'm struggling tonight. So I'll try to ride that energy from you and try to make this thing look okay. And I know Spawn like is known for like the gritty and like the tiny little lines that McFarlane added to so much stuff. Even when he was there was a point where Eric Larson was doing Spawn and Todd was inking it, and you were seeing all those little Todd marks on top of Eric's structure, which was interesting because I tend to think of Eric as a structuralist, not a finish guy. So it was like and I'm guessing Eric probably thought they were entirely unnecessary because he doesn't put them in his own work. He puts the lines that he thinks he needs down. Guy knows what he's doing. Let's see how that looks. I'll flip it over and hold it up to the light and see how we think it's coming along. That's okay. It's okay. We'll make it work. And this is the light source. So we're going to have some bright parts to create separation. And I think I'm actually going to have a line there. The shape of the head takes some practice. The skull, this probably to me looks like just a regular dummy head. And then we can add some little bits of cheekbone in there. Put a corn shirt on that guy, says Jay. Yeah, I know you're a sucker for him, Jay. I know you're more into the extreme. And we've talked about it before. We both enjoy the Larson comics, Letting some of the lines disappear can be a little bit intimidating for me, but I think it's really necessary for this character, and it'll help me avoid some mistakes with the what do you call it? The both the proportions and just the overall design of the character. I've had this sketch cover for ages, and it's a good excuse to get rid of it. Just goofing off. You can see where the eye sockets would be. These are a little big. Eye socket. Here's where one cheekbone would be. Here's where another. Paper's pretty good on the sketch cover. I'm sure if Todd McFarlane drew on one of these, it would go for a pretty penny. think his lower region needs to come down a little bit. The spawn that I see in my head is usually actually the one that's penciled by Greg Capullo, just because it had more structure to it. No offense to Todd. He had more of a rubbery quality to his characters' faces and things. So like when I see it in my head, I see like all the little bits that Capullo used to add. So there's more little lines. Like we'll do our best to mimic some of those lines and get the right feeling. Let's see if we can suss out a better proportion here. It should be more down here like this. And then like that. And then there's some overhang like that. Like that. And this leg's going to come down a little bit like this. And that's where that is. Cross like that. Yeah, I think 15-year-old me would be kind of giggly about drawing Spawn, maybe. I wasn't as into Spider-Man, so that was another reason why I didn't follow McFarlane as hardcore as other people. I was not as into Spidey. I was an X-Men guy for the most part. Hope everybody is having a good week and they have some nice holiday plans. If not, we will get through. I still have a bunch of stuff I got to do. I think most of my Christmas shopping is done, thankfully. Oh, that's right. It comes down here. I forgot. I have to bring that in a little bit. Have it come down and then go down like this. And then it comes down like this. There we go. And if this is our light source, let's just get some of the anatomy in there, some of the stomach muscles, and then we can sort of find our way through the lighting. We don't have to worry about too much. There's only like little bits and pieces that show through, so I'm sure Todd designed it that way so that if he was like, he had a big story to tell or whatever, he could really like shorthand some pages if he had to, meaning that he wouldn't have to draw like the characters like all of his stuff all the time. He could hide it behind the cloak, he could hide it behind, the shadow. He'd do tons of stuff with it. Caleb. Thank you very much. It's very nice of you to say. Definitely not a character I draw for fun. When I'm just goofing off. In my notebook lately, I've been inventing a bunch of new characters. Like, I don't have time to always get a page in front of me throughout the day, so like I'll have my little notebook next to me and I'll just draw little heads. I posted some of the heads today that's the kind of stuff that I can draw while I'm like on the phone or whatever. Or eat my sandwich in the lunchroom. Today I had a nice deli sandwich for lunch. But yeah, I have a concept piece about the comics. I mentioned the area. I'm probably just going to draw it and put it on my website. I know that's a big thing for me is that in the next year, you're going to see a lot of stuff just for free that you can read on there. And if they ever get printed, who cares? We'll see. No idea. I just don't want to fight that stuff anymore. I forgot to finish this. But, see, I don't know what his gloves even look like. I know he's got spikes on his sides. And he's got spikes. He's got chains. He's got everything. But like, what do the little glove things look like? Let's see if we can. Oh, okay, so there's more spikes on that side. So there's spikes on both sides. No, that's okay. That's the one that changed. That's the original. This is the original one. This is the one it became. Okay. It's just a glove with the white. And then above it, it's just black. There we go. Like that. Like that. Like that and like that. Come down. Yeah, see, like Capullo would do cool things like this with the cape where it folds back and forth and it curls up and does all these neat stuff. I'm just doing like a basic cape. I should probably make it more ridiculous, right? The cape should be bigger. Like that. You can lose this, and this becomes cape. Cape comes up from over here, probably shoots up like this. This is cape. The background cuts up like that. Then we can bring it this way. And we can have it come up like this. Cape. Just keep adding more cape. Need more cowbell. Need more cape. There's no such thing as too much cape. There. This over here. My reference keeps getting in the way. that. I think just a tiny bit there. And that comes up like that because that's part of the shoulder. This part we're going to darken out. There's going to be a little bit of light there. There's where the hip bone is. Get a little there. Because we want to give people enough breadcrumbs so that they can see that the structure's underneath, but not be distracting. Just getting just enough. And we should probably have like the other chain go off in this direction. And for the I don't even know what to do with the background. I mean, I generally think of Spawn's backgrounds being all either like city or just darkness. Let's see if we can get away with just like a brick wall with some lighting. And then maybe like a poster, like a missing poster, like classic comic stuff like that. Bring this in, like that, over, up, back. And then let's see if we can just, maybe we can do a very graphical shape, like a rectangle almost. Yeah, let's see if we can do that. It cuts back here. And then this will be blacked out. Just black all that out like that. All right, let's see if we can fix this hand. That does not look right. There. Sometimes I have to flip it over to do the hands in certain angles. It helps me. It's too far that way. Let's see if we can get that. Hey Caleb, do I have any appearance in Ohio in the future? Can't wait for you to reopen the store. I'm hoping to. I'm looking for the right show to do. I know that there was a show in November. Was it GalaxyCon? It's in Columbus. I was thinking about reaching out to them for that next year. I haven't done a show in Columbus in a very long time, and that would be a nice thing to do. I don't know. I'm just with that kind of stuff. I'm just looking for a table, so I would get myself out there and fly myself out there. I don't know. I would just like to get out to Ohio. I've got family and friends out there, so try not to butcher this hand too badly. I've reached out to a couple of shows, one in the Midwest, one on the West Coast, and then one on. I reached out to Heroes. I have not heard back. I know they got inundated with applications or whatever. But I that's one of those. That's one of the last big shows I haven't done that I'd like to do. I've never done Heroes. I doubt I'll be back at Baltimore this coming year unless the folks that run it decide that they want us back. For long distance shows, it's really like I need at least a table. I don't mind paying my own way if I know I'm going to make money at the show or whatever, but like when you add that extra $300 in the hole to start, it's really hard to finance your own business trip. or to justify it. Because I hadn't heard anything out of the Gem City camp. So I've heard Cincinnati's good, but Cincinnati's really far from my parents' house. And they live in central Ohio, so like I try to be able to visit with them when I do a show there. The only show I have confirmation and commitment from right now is the Little Giants show up in New Hampshire. Jason and them are very kind, and it's a wonderful show. It's honestly like those. It's a killer. It's a killer 1 day show. If I wasn't set up there, I'd go there to shop, man. Like they get awesome vendors, awesome artists. The one show I was looking at is in Columbus, that Galaxy show. I haven't reached out to them. I still have to. I have a lot of just stuff I have been working on. It's tough to do the work and book your shows and all that junk. Let me get a smaller pen here. I'm actually enjoying drawing this. This is a pretty fun little drawing. And I'll tell you what, we're gonna give it away. It's gonna be a Christmas present. If anybody wants this Spawn cover that's in the chat, just say Spawn me, and if there's more than one, I'll just use a random number generator, and then we'll give it away. It'll be my Christmas or Hanukkah or Festivus thank you for coming and hanging out with me. So, all right, we got one. There's two. So we've got a 50-50 shot for you folks to go home with it. And I actually have a box to put in right next to my desk, so that'll be easy. Three. 1 out of 3. See, if you weren't on at that very moment, everybody's got a very good shot of getting it. And I'll pull up the Google random number generator, and we'll settle this thing here tonight, hopefully, when this thing is done. I don't even know what time it is. I'm just going to keep going until this thing is put to bed. That's what I would like to do in the future. As long as I'm not working on pages, I would love to just do sketch giveaways on this thing more often. Do that next year, because I don't see myself going to as many conventions in the future. I don't work on high profile books unless Undersea Hero becomes the cult phenomenon that dreams are made of. Although I have been approached by a couple of other small projects. It just depends if they're willing to wait until I'm done with Undersea Hero. I have turned down work to finish that book, and there's nothing that's going to stop me, barring my uh, complete health collapse or being hit by a bus or something along those lines. Long live Lord Krakus. That's correct. We are not giving up. I can't. Um, there's some days I just feel the weight of that project, but I'll be damned if it's not going to get finished. People are going to get their books. I don't know how many I'm going to print. I honestly don't. I was thinking about it, and I was like, I don't know how many more than what people ordered I'm going to print. We'll just have to see. Just have to see how it shakes out. I am now seeing the limitations of this paper. It definitely bleeds. Comics community is huge. I think, I think it has expanded a great deal. I agree, Caleb. That's at least I think the people who are interested in the characters. I don't know if the number of comic readers of especially of like mainstream American comics have gone up all that much, but they definitely like the manga readers are like absolutely just massive numbers of people. Let me see if I can get see how my brush pen reacts to this paper. It's not bad. Thank you. Oh yeah, you the TMNT 51. Yeah, I've got a few of those in a box. Um, hopefully, I'll be able to get this thing done and reopen my online store at some point. But this year it was just too much with everything going on. Favorite character to work on? I would say that the Tick has been a favorite of mine because I grew up reading it for so long, and it's the one character where like I got to work on it long enough where I felt like I had my version of the character pretty well down. A lot of the times, like I was just doing variants or whatever, or like a single issue, and it's really tough to like get your footing on a character. And I would also put, just because I liked it so much as a kid, the one Conan cover that I did, as far as for work for hire books. My favorite stuff is definitely my own stuff, but my single favorite cover is the Tick Cycle Free Comic Book Day cover that I did. That was the one time where the publisher, the recently retired George Suarez, said, "Do what you want, and we'll back you if you feel strongly about it." And I went for it on that cover. And that whole thing, all of the tick, the part where the logo is exploding, is all hand lettered. That was all done by hand. So any characters I haven't done that I want to do that are work for hire. Um, and I believe this long before any of the talk of the new movie. I do believe I did get to draw Batman on that Batman TMNT cover. I think Superman is probably the most important superhero to the genre, obviously, because it was the first monumental hit in the States in book format, like in the comic book that as we know it. Like, even though the Phantom existed beforehand, there had been, the Scarlet Pimpernel and things like that. But, as we know it, it established the superhero genre of American comics. Like, I think that getting to draw him once for something would be pretty exceptional. As a 10-year-old me, if you're asking 10-year-old me, it's Aquaman and the X-Men. Like, those are the two books that got me going into this ridiculous career or direction or whatever. I would also put, like, there's some public domain characters that I want to draw, that I will draw, as time allows, created by, guys like Will Eisner. I'm more into following the creators than the intellectual properties or the characters these days. So, and there's stuff that I read that was done by independent creators that I love. Like, I desperately want to finish a Perhaponauts piece for my buddy Craig and Todd, the guys that do the Perhaponauts, and I've just been unable to get that done for them just because of work and everything. I would love to do Mr. Monster. That was a Michael T. Gilbert comic in the 1980s that I really enjoyed. Mr. Monster's like big, ridiculous character that is a guy that just kills monsters. And that was actually a public domain character that Michael T. Gilbert, it was only published like once or twice. And Gilbert created this entire universe of characters and made it so that people like me knew who it was. it was such a small publication that nobody had ever read or seen. Barbarian Lord, Matt Smith's book. I have loved it forever. I would love to do just a little watercolor or something of that character. But I want to finish Undersea Hero. I've got ideas for one-shot stories, serialized stuff is great and all, but I just have a lot of standalone one-off stories that aren't necessarily like graphic novel length that I think could be compelling. And I've written them myself, or I have notes to write them, and that's probably what I'll do a lot of in the future. In the post working on Undersea Hero world. Yeah, honestly, it was just a ton of work. The online store, so that was just. Oh, cool! Someone did a video about Mr. Monster. It's a really fun book. I love the artwork. I got to meet Mr. Gilbert a few years ago at Gem City Comic Con, and he was so nice. So. What is tapping? Don't know what that noise is. There we go. Got rid of that noise. Jeez. Sorry. Thought it would just stop. Did not. It probably did just get louder. Yeah, and as much as I enjoyed drawing the Ninja Turtles, it was always kind of like a rush to get and I mean in a sense of how fast can you get it done in the times that I was working on it, with the exception of the first one for Animated Adventures, which was like, took a long time because they made me do some drawing tests before they would let me do the cover. So. I also never really, because they were all variants, I never really felt like IDW could give two hoots as to what I was doing. I ended up drawing some other books, just like other stuff there, but it was all kind of just ad hoc. So the correct term, where it's like if somebody fell off the schedule, like the G.I. Joe cover, I was just picking up the slack from a guy that didn't get it done, and I was immediately available. Oh no, they didn't owe me anything. Like they were just variant covers, so it was like, I'm not disgruntled about them at all. It just was not as rewarding as like some of the other experiences I've had. Like, I would say even just doing the Conan cover, I had the time. It wasn't a rush. Um, I understand like a variant cover is just kind of like an add-on to the print run or whatever, so it's not like their primary concern. I didn't feel slighted. It's just a matter of part of the business, the way those things get done. Yeah, I'd be happy to. I missed the Attleboro comic show. I know it's over in Franklin or whatever now, and I went to it, and I'll probably see if Harry will throw me a table there just to go hang out and buy dollar books. Um, but yeah, I always liked that show. It's just a little old fashioned one day comic show. No frills. Yeah. Just looking to see what time it is. Oh, it's 9:18. Jeez, we've been at this. I might have to finish this off camera. I'd hope to avoid that. And let's try to finish his face at least. There's my teeny little pen. Yeah, 03, teeny little pen. Got a fair number of people in here tonight, so thanks everybody for joining this evening. Trying to pop through this thing. Yeah, those chains are what are gonna make this thing not get done, I think. There is something about how quickly you can get your pen moving, and then it creates sort of an energy that gets going. Which is nice. There we go. Just keep on cranking along. And what we'll do is we'll get we have a circle template somewhere. I thought I grabbed it on my way in. No, I grabbed an oval template. Give me 2 seconds. Let me grab my circle template. There we go. So what we can do here is go like this. There we go. It doesn't have to be perfect. We can grab our bristly brush. Don't worry, we'll add lots of bleed-proof white and such. It'll make this make more sense. Better brush. Okay. Cruising along. That's come along. Looks okay. I think we're coming along all right. As you can see, I'm doing kind of a screen instead of pure white. The only white one on spawn is actually where those white parts are, like on its cloak, or whatever you would call it. These stabby looking bits that go into the skull. Everything else, I want a tone, or I want there to be some textures. Like this. This is why I take too long with things, because I get in there and noodle on stuff like this. But when you see it done, it makes sense, like where I'm having things pop. See, it's having that contrast between the two there that is making the difference for me visually. I wish I had some of those like paint pens where I could go in and like paint the red on top of the logo, but I'm gonna have to just settle for keeping this in black and white, I think. Oh, thank you, Caitlin. Thanks, Scienton. Good to see you. It's all about you trying to use your light sources with Spawn, I think. And then showing what you need to have enough structure there for it to read as a person in the shadows rather than just shadows, like lumpy shadows. I see a lot of Spawn drawings on the internet where they just make it super busy and you can't see any of the structure under it. I remember they did that Spawn art contest and I saw like so many of those types of drawings. And I don't want to have any texture on this part, the white part of his costume. If this was like a cover or something, I would make sure that all these lines are more consistent and cleaner, stuff like that. But we're just having fun tonight. We're not trying to do too much backbreaking labor on something. We just want to make something that looks pretty good and tells a little story and works visually. Keep working on those hands, trying to get those right. And then we had more cape that we did in the background. There's more cape that just goes up like that. Don't worry, we'll have a nice little beam that like comes up and out from his hand blast or whatever it's called. His Spawn powers. What are some different ways to support me? Just pop online on Wednesdays, and if you ever want to share the stream, you're welcome to do that. I don't charge anything for it, and just tell people you like my work. That's really it. When I finish Undersea Hero, I'll put the word out when the Kickstarter's fulfilled, and we'll figure out where we go from there. I don't have any books to pre-order or anything. I don't have anything coming out in Diamond. I don't, I will be, like I said, at the Little Giants show up in New Hampshire. Yeah, just popping in and saying hello was a nice way to support me. So thank you for doing that. And hey, anybody that typed Spawn me, I think there were 3. I'll hit the random number generator and let people know when this thing is done who won. I will do my best to get it in the mail. You probably won't get it before Christmas, but you'll definitely get it by New Year's. I have considered doing a Patreon, but I don't know if that's the way I want to go. Because again, you then have people who, like, if I miss a month on something, for my health or whatever, I feel like I'm letting them down, and that's why I think I'm going to just post a lot of content for free on my website in the future. I really think that's the first step for me to finish stuff, post it on there. People can read it, and then if they want to support me, they can like buy a copy if I have them available. Looking for that panel. There it is. So the glove has like on one side it has like a stabby point thing, because of course it does. But I don't think you can see it from that angle. It looks like that part's black, yeah. Alright, well, let's go back in here with our brush pen. Fill that in. When you see me just go in with the brush pen like that, I wholly admit that's more of a painter's technique instead of a drawing technique, so it's a little harder to explain in comic book terms. It's blocking out, really. Like if this were an acrylic painting, I would block out all this stuff first instead of using all these little lines. It's just a different way of rendering. And that's something else I want to do next year. I'd like to do some more painting. I don't know if we should put his cloak there. I think that's a better line. So I think that this line is going to be for his energy. And then we'll have another one that cuts across, comes into the center, like that. I probably should have drawn more chains, but that's the stuff that takes the longest. This is just a fun little sketch. And here's where we wanted that graphical square to be. It comes back down like this. I don't love that. If I had a bigger circle, I think I would like that better. Like a big circle I could trace around here. No, it's like the one time I don't leave a plate in my office. I think we had some more cape just coming down, swooping down like this. there's the FH. Little pen here. See if we can get through this. I think if I was doing this for something, bigger than just a quick sketch cover, I would probably have a chain, in front of the camera, closer, creating those layers. But if we're trying to finish something on one stream, I think we've maxed out our layering. A giant eraser. There's that FH. Let's just use this one. Not a ton of ink left in this, so we're going to see if we can at least rough out the background. Oh, I cover up the registered trademark sign of Spawn. Todd McFarlane will send me a cease and desist letter. Although one thing that I've always wanted to mention about these sketch covers, and it's for people who sell originals at conventions, and there's something in legal terms called implied consent. And the idea of selling these blank sketch covers is for someone to draw on them. And I would assume, I believe it would be fair for most people to assume that if you're drawing on a Spawn comic, they expect you to draw Spawn, in which case I think it's 100% legal to sell sketch covers of characters that you don't own, because comics are a resale business that publishers are well aware of in secondary markets. And in the case of these, they want you to draw on them. So at the very least, I think it's a thing where they will never chase after you. If you're like, hey, I'm going to draw Wolverine and I'm going to put it for sale on my web store as a single drawing of Wolverine, I don't think you're going to get a cease and desist if it's on one of their sketch covers. My idea for the background was initially to just have some bricks. You don't have to be perfect. Just make sure that the continuous lines continue at basically the same level. Oh, nice. Michael said he finished another page of line art. Congrats. Congrats. Another mountain climbed. Well done. I don't know if I have any whiteout to finish the cape here. We'll see if I do. me see if I got that white out somewhere around here. I do. Cool. And what I need to do is I do need to change the texture of the background so that there is some texture there, unfortunately. And this is one of those things where it's going to just take me a little bit, and this is boring to watch, but you can just see the dots starting to show up. You just have to have a visual difference than the rest of the piece because they're made out of different stuff. That's the kind of thing that I'll go back in and noodle with later. Wish I could get a secondary tone. Let me think if there's any sort of tone I can put in there. Like, I would love to put a toss hatch on there. I know that would take a while, but it would really make the piece look better, I think. So maybe we will do that. Because I think if we do that toss hatch, we're pretty close to done. I need to flatten the black a little bit. Go in there and hit this. Just hit the main areas one more time. And what a toss hatch is it is a cross hatch that has kind of an arcing look to it. I don't know. I don't think that looks very good, but it's the kind of thing where you do have to concentrate, so maybe we'll just skip it. Just kind of pull off a few pieces here and there. Like, a few of the bricks are a little darker, just so that it's a little bit different. We don't have to do all the bricks, but we do need to differentiate. Because, on a brick wall, some of the bricks are darker than the others. I think we can pull this off if we do it just a handful of the bricks instead of doing the whole wall that way. Sometimes I just go with my gut. Sometimes it's wrong. Sometimes I cook a piece. I'm just kind of going with the flow. I do think that this needs a little bit more fill. I think that's too much of a light area here. We need one of the ones that touches the cape to be. All right, well, I might noodle a little bit, but let's try to finish this puppy off a little bit like this. Do I have any of my cards here? I don't know if I have any of my credit cards. Maybe. I think those are still good. I don't have my wallet on me, so I can't pull out like my old AAA card or something. Maybe one of these. Let's try one of these old badges. See if they're stiff enough for some spatter. Yeah, that was pretty slick right there. What do we think? Done? I think we're done. Pretty good for one sitting, I would say. All right, I got to sign it. And then how many spawn me's did we have? I think we had 3. I'd have to go through the chat. Let me take a look here. So we got Michael, Caleb, and Brian. So we're going to write the numbers. We got Mike, Caleb, and Brian. All said spawn me. Last call. Getting the random number generator out right now. So we'll just call who won it, and you guys can just DM me your address. One to 3. All right. So we've got 1 out of 3. Mike, Caleb, Brian. 1, 2, 3. Let me just write it down. 1, 2, 3, so people know I'm not making this up. We got the random number generator, and the generate is 2. So Caleb, you win. Look at that. winner. Hey, Kevin. Good to see you. We're about to sign off, but I hope everything is well, and I hope you have a wonderful holiday. So, yeah, Caleb, DM me your wherever you'd like it sent, if you got a PO box or whatever, and we'll get this thing in the mail for you. So, hope everybody has a good night, happy holidays, and I'll see you in a week. Good night, everybody.